Have you ever noticed how much energy it takes to always be right? What if the real freedom is actually in letting go of the last word? Welcome back to The Redeemed Mess. I'm Kathy, and on this podcast, I talk about the messiness of life and how Jesus, in his grace and mercy, redeems every part of it. Whether you're walking through hard seasons, searching for hope, or just need a gentle reminder of God's faithfulness, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's episode. Today, I want to talk about something that has been life-changing for me. And I'm not 100% good at it, but I'm getting there. And that's about losing the right to be right. Now, that might sound strange at first. I mean, don't we all want to be understood, validated, or even respected for the way we see things? But here's the truth. I've learned the hard way. We don't always need to have the last say. We don't always need to explain ourselves until someone agrees with us. And we don't always need to push our opinions in our way of doing things on other people. If I'm being honest, this has gotten me into trouble in the past. I think there were times when people actually avoided me because I came across as prideful, always needing to prove my point. And that stings to admit. But when I look back, I see that it was rooted in pride and needing to control the outcome and in wanting people to see things my way. Something that really helped me was reading the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I'm not in recovery myself, but I've learned so much from the 12-step program because it's all about surrendering. Surrendering humility and letting go of the things that keep us bound. The big book talks about how we ceased, this is in quotes, we ceased fighting everyone and everything. And that line always hit me so deeply because that's what I was doing. I was fighting to be right, fighting to be understood, and fighting to be heard. And all that fighting actually made me tense and anxious. Here's the freedom. When I started giving up the right to be right, I noticed something shift inside of me. My anxiety began to calm. I felt more relaxed. I didn't have to keep explaining myself or making sure people understood. I could trust that others could figure things out for themselves. I could step back and stay quiet and let God work in their hearts, just like He works in mine. And let me tell you, it has saved me from so many unnecessary arguments. You know, those little back and forth moments where no one really wins. I've learned to just pause, breathe, and let it go. And the peace that comes from that, it's so worth much more than being right. So here's my encouragement for you today. Maybe you don't have to prove yourself. Maybe you don't have to defend your choices or your opinions or your ways of doing things. What if peace is on the other side of simply letting go? Jesus himself modeled humility. Philippians 2 verses 3 and 4 says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others." Gosh, I love that. What a reminder that our worth is not tied to being right. Our worth is in Christ. And when we lay down the pride, the control, and the arguments, we make room for His peace to fill our hearts. So friend, let's practice losing the right to be right. Not in defeat, but in freedom, because sometimes silence speaks louder than words, and grace goes further than proving a point. Thanks for joining me today on The Redeemed Mess. If this episode encouraged you, would you consider following or subscribing to the podcast and maybe share it with a friend who needs a little reminder of God's grace? Remember, Jesus meets us in the middle of our messy places, and he brings peace where we need it the most. Until next time, take what you need, leave the rest, and be blessed.